Everyone, it is August 2nd. This is your morning $600 unemployment boost news and your stimulus check news. So, this morning there was some interviews that happened. I want to go over what was said and how this relates to the bill that we're waiting on. So, this morning Steve Mnuchin was asked, quote, "When can the deal get done regarding the stimulus package?" To which his answer was, "I have no idea," right? Not exactly what we're wanting to hear kind of out the gates, right? The follow-up question was, what would you tell people who are waiting for the $600 unemployment boost to resume? His answer was, tell Democrats, let's do a short-term bill. So basically blaming the Democrats that nothing has been done so far, right? Reason being is because he's saying they put forward the idea to extend unemployment benefits for a week while they negotiated, but they said no to this proposal, right? It's fair, but at the same time, they're not looking to do a short-term bill. They want a long-term, everything put together bill. The two issues that are at hand right now are evictions and enhanced unemployment, to which Steve Mnuchin said he's willing to do a deal on those items, which is good, right? He goes on to say that we are very far apart on coming to any kind of deal, but yesterday was very productive during our meeting, which is good. I mean, it's not bad, right? He says that, again, they meet tomorrow, and that if a compromise is able to be reached, they can have a deal made as early as tomorrow, right? So they can do this pretty quickly if they are able to come to terms with each other. He says, however, this disagreement would require a substantial move from the Democrats right now because he's saying they're pretty far apart. They would need to kind of close the gap on the compromises of each other. Real quick, I want to take a second to say about 70% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed. So take a second, click that subscribe button down below. It supports me, helps me to continue to bring these updates to you guys so that you're not having to spend all your time searching for the videos. Helps me out a bunch. So, continuing, then he was asked about the stimulus checks, to which he said the president supports the same amount, being that $1,200 check that we got last time, right? Which is a little bit goes back on what he says because even though Steve Mnuchin is saying that Trump supports the $1,200, a few weeks ago Donald Trump said that he would want larger stimulus checks, right? So going back a little bit on what he's saying there, if that's true, he said that Democrats agree to the same amount, the $1,200. This is important because the Treasury Secretary basically just confirmed that 1,200 checks is what's going to be our number, right? Now it's hard to believe that we're going to have anything larger. 1,200 is probably what you guys should expect coming out of here, right? In terms of speed and how quickly we'd be able to get these checks, Mnuchin said, quote, if we pass a bill this week, I could start printing them the following week, being 50 million payments could come out really quickly, and that will have an enormous impact on the economy. I want to get that done quickly. First checks by August 14th is realistically what we're looking at, which is pretty good. That's actually pretty quick, right? And if you have direct deposit hooked up, it could be even quicker. So after Mnuchin was interviewed, Nancy Pelosi was interviewed, and she was asked about how Mnuchin basically blamed the Democrats right before his interview. In his interview, she was asked about that, and her answer was, talk to President Trump. So we're kind of going around in this circle where they blame her, she blames Trump, it's like a circle going back and forth. It's crazy that a deal hasn't been done yet, right? She says that the $200 extension, quote, does not meet the need of the American working families, which was the deal that was proposed. She said that she would be willing to negotiate on the $600 amount based on the unemployment rate, which is the first time we're hearing that. I mean, we've heard it before brought up, that idea of bringing the rate down $100 once we're at a certain unemployment rate, and again and again and again, and doing it that way. Nancy Pelosi then brought up a Yale University study that proves the $600 boost keeps people out of poverty and that it's not a statistical disincentive to work, which is interesting. She's bringing up facts while the Republicans are going off of just kind of hearsay of, oh, well, people are making more when they're not working. So It's tricky, right? She then says the Democrats are unified on the $600 amount and that the Republicans are completely disorganized in the amount that they actually want to do, right? So after this, it's interesting. Now they go back to Steve Mnuchin after he listens to Pelosi's interview, and he's going to respond to what she says. So he says that, well, we offered a $600 extension for 1 week that Democrats refused. That short-term bill that would have extended the $600 boost for 1 week while they negotiated. He was then asked, well, why do you wait so long to get these done, right? And his response was, well, we spent $3 trillion on the last package. We wanted to wait and see how that response worked, right? ABC then played a clip of Trump saying that Democrats don't care about the people, to which Mnuchin's response was, well, Democrats are requesting $1 trillion of help for the states, right? Mnuchin says that in some cases, with the $600 boost, some people are paid more to stay at home, and that creates issues, right? Which we've heard some of that, right? But ABC's rebuttal to this was they brought up Nancy Pelosi's Yale study, to which he responds, okay, but I went to Yale, so I agree with some things, but I also don't agree with other things that they say. He then goes on to say how there's a Chicago study that shows how people are overpaid, which is true. In this study, it does show how people are making about 130% or more for average on the unemployment pay, which is more, but it doesn't directly answer Pelosi's kind of her whole point being that it keeps people out of poverty, right? That doesn't answer that. Yeah, some people might be making more, but it's keeping people out of poverty, not necessarily keeping them from going to work. So it's interesting both ways. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Stay tuned for tomorrow's update. I'll keep you guys in the loop. Please hit that like button if you did enjoy the video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know when you think we're going to get this bill done. And thank you so much. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend.